that I ran on the Hult Boston campus for my startup. And it will give you a sense of what we're trying to do here today, okay?
The Reduxio Hackathon at Hult Business School is now in its second year, and I am someone who is a huge believer in hackathons. I love bringing together the idea of open innovation, a community of thinkers that are passionate about bringing new ideas to the world in service of Reduxio. And I can't think of a better group of people to do that with than my very own marketing students and my MBA students.
We're focusing on 4 different challenges, being social media, content creation, creative campaigns, or a technical challenge where they can focus on either VR or chatbots.
Today we had the hackathon. It was been a rough day. I really liked it. It was intense. Sometimes I felt I was in an emotional roller coaster because then we had a really good idea, but then it was too broad. So you start to pivot, and that's actually what it's all about. The design thinking behind the whole hackathon. And you have to hack something.
Since the first hour, I was feeling something, I was feeling this transformative experience, and I know this might sound a little bit also overreacting, but actually it's real.
Overall, it was an amazing experience, and being able to participate in such an activity at such an early stage in life, I am amazed and I'm proud of myself.
I've seen my students really step up, right? They came in prepared, they hit the ground running, and the number of actionable ideas, creative ideas, powerful ideas is beyond anything me or anyone on my team could have expected. So I think it energizes me and the team. We're going to take these ideas, we're going to mature them, we're going to invest in them, we're going to put them in the market. And so we walk out of here with a great deal of excitement and energy about what we can do in 2017 to build on these ideas as we grow our company.
All right. So the important distinction that I want you to know is that was not a hackathon for coding. That was a hackathon for solving marketing challenges, okay? So today, of course, we're going to talk about AI, but I understand that none of you are coders, okay? So that's not going to be an issue. But what we are going to try to do is we're going to try to solve some problems, okay? And we're going to use the frameworks that most of you, I hope, know to help you solve those problems. So just a little bit on my background. Engineer, worked in Silicon Valley for a while, got my MBA, went to work for McKinsey. I've done 8 VC-backed startups over the last 25 years, okay? And then simultaneously, I've been a professor for 20 plus years at MIT, here at Hult, and a number of other institutions, okay? And I'll be teaching a course on Monday at MIT on disruptive business model innovation. So this is my passion, right? So as Jonathan said, right, you cannot pick a better time to become an expert in artificial intelligence. The demand, not just in the United States, the demand across the globe is insatiable. Okay? So I spent a few days last week at the Venture Beat AI Summit. I spent the last 2 days this week at an M&A conference focused on AI. The demand for skills, the demand for companies is unprecedented. Okay? So hopefully this is a level of exposure to give you the emphasis on learning more, right? Knowing that there's a lot more that you can do, but hopefully this will light a fire for you, okay? So, open innovation is where we realize that the smartest brains in the world are not just on our payroll, that there are smart people everywhere, and that we have the opportunity to leverage the intelligence and the hard work of people anywhere. And of course, a hackathon is a great example of open innovation. It's a great example of an innovation tournament, okay? And there's many others, right? There are design sprints, and there are a whole wide range of innovation tournaments that companies run internally or that organizations here in San Francisco, Salesforce.com as an example, had a $1 million prize for people that could create some capabilities in their platform, okay? Netflix created their recommendation engine by using an X Prize model where they offered $1 million prize to help them create a world-class recommendation engine to make sure they're recommending the right shows and the right films. Okay? So what is a hackathon? A hackathon is a mashup of 2 words. The first one is hack. And it's not, hacking is not just cyber hacking. Hacking is, I think, it's Kalesh, right? Use the word about 4 or 5 times, right? It's coming up with a quick solution, a rough, quick solution to a problem. The phrase originated at MIT. And MIT famously has a hack day on April 1st every year. Okay? The second part of it is marathon. Now today is only a short day and you're going to only work until roughly lunchtime tomorrow. But the early hackathons were 72-hour Red Bull, Snickers, and Starbucks-fueled events where people were literally sleeping in their sleeping bags and coding all night and all day in shifts. Okay? So this is not that. But it will give you a taste of what a hackathon is like. Okay? The time pressure that focuses your mind. Right? So we are living in an era of unprecedented change. And you guys are to blame, by the way. Okay? Ever since the remarkably important year, 2007, when the iPhone was born, and when social media platforms started to take off in a big way, the entire world has been forever changed, right? And I don't have to tell you, but you guys are at the forefront of that change, okay? Now, for most of you, right, you were born with an iPhone in your hands, okay? And unfortunately, Instagram wasn't around then, but it might as well have been for you guys, all right? So, as we live in this era of social media, right, and I want to go back now to the points that Jonathan had made and Kalesh had made, there's immense ethical issues that have come to the fore, right? And we are 3 days away from U.S. midterm elections. The amount of interference in democratic elections, not just in the U.S., but all around the world, has taken on a remarkably scary time. Okay? And I think everybody in Silicon Valley was caught by complete surprise as to how their platforms could be co-opted for that. Okay? So, the trouble with our times is the future is not what it used to be. I don't think anybody could have predicted the challenges that these large, globally connected social networks where 2 billion people are connected could possibly bring to the world. Okay? So we have opportunities. Technology can be used for good or bad. Some of you may remember when they announced that you could reconstruct someone's leg. You can use 3D printing now to print tissue. You can use 3D printing for so many types of good applications. So to judge a technology in a predetermined way is just crazy, right? Now, we have this guy in the Valley known as Elon Musk. And Elon Musk is a pretty respected guy for a variety of reasons. But he's also providing this incredibly negative dystopian view that AI will be the death of us. Okay? And we're here to say that's not necessarily the way that we want to think about it. In fact, I want us to think about, creating things people want. So we want privacy, okay? We want security. We want to remove biases from the way that we're hired. We want to remove biases from the way that we are promoted. So if you look at a post I put up last night on LinkedIn, the name of the post is how 4 tech companies are using AI to mitigate biases, okay? And what happens is that most of us are so completely unconscious of our biases that when we start to step back and explore them, we're actually surprised by them. There's an article about a Silicon Valley venture capitalist who was introduced to bias training, and he was shocked at how biased he was. That 95% of his contacts were men. That 80% of his contacts on his social networks were men. That when he was in meetings, he was meeting with men all the time. And so the fact that he became aware of his biases gave him a level of sensitivity to change his behavior. But algorithms are built by people. Just like governments are led by people and organizations are led by people, we bring our hidden blind spots into the way we code algorithms, okay? So how do we, as a group today and tomorrow, think about minimizing? We're never going to eliminate biases, right? We're human. We've been socialized from the time we first heard our parents, our teachers talk. We are interpreting the world through a certain type of experience that has been sort of brought upon us, okay? So the first thing is, what I'm going to recommend as you form your teams, before you get into coding, or not coding even, but thinking about the problem, think about your values, right? Think about what's important to you as a team. Now, I'm going to recommend, if it's at all possible, that there's a pretty good distribution of people in the room. How many are MIBs? How many MIBs in the room? No MIBs? Yeah, raise your hands. You don't have to be embarrassed if you're an MIB. I'm not talking about dual degree now. I'm talking about people that have, that you're now in the MBI program. That's okay. How many are just in the MIB program for the first time and you're just coming to Hult in the last month? Anybody? No? Okay, that's all right. Nothing to be embarrassed about. The reason I ask is because the hackathon is all about moving quickly. And there's a tool set that I think will be very valuable to you to move quickly. And if you're not comfortable with the tool set, then it's going to be really challenging to have any level of speed in solving this problem, right? So the first part of it, to me, this is very readily available. If you go on Google Images, okay, if you go on Google Images, you'll find the Happy Startup Canvas. It's a wonderful, as Galveston said, you're going to have a 5-minute pitch, okay? It's important for each team to know what's the purpose of the team, what is your vision, right? What problem do you want to solve and for whom, right? What are the values you bring? When you only have 5 minutes, you better tell a damn good story, okay? That's really the key, all right? What specific problem are you solving and how are you solving it? And who do you think will be the early adopters that will adopt your solution, okay? And what value do you bring, right? That's the essence of what we're trying to do, okay? There's one size fits none, right? If you understand design thinking, you realize that the only way that you can deliver something of value is you have to tailor your solution to a specific persona with a specific problem, okay? And it's what we call design thinking. So if you haven't studied design thinking, I would recommend you try to bring someone onto your team that has an understanding of this very powerful discipline, okay? So there's no more business to business or business to consumer, it's human to human. Especially when we talk about unconscious bias, okay? Which is the real focus today, right? So again, very simple. You've got to empathize with the persona. You care about their lives. You care about people who have been unable to be hired because of unconscious bias. You care about people who have been passed over for promotion time and time again because of unconscious bias, okay? You care about the lack of inclusion and diversity in the workplace because of unconscious bias, and that fuels you to do something, okay? You define that problem as precisely as you can. As a team, you do a brainstorming session, you ideate on potential solutions, and what I would recommend, if at all possible, for tomorrow's pitch, is you create a prototype, right? Prototyping is a very powerful way of reducing ambiguity and allowing the judges to really understand what your intent is, okay? So there's a whole bunch of free, simple to use, drag and drop, rapid prototyping tools that you can easily access, and I know some of my students have used them in class, okay? Diversity is just as important in this process, so I would hope that it's not 5 women or 5 MDI students or whatever. I really would love to see as diverse a set of teams as possible. It's going to be pretty ironic to have a team of people that are all sort of with the same background working on problems around bias and AI, okay? That would be an ironic outcome if that's where we wound up, okay? So, is there anything else? This is a great thing. You can go online. If you don't know IDEO, then I would suggest you go to IDEO, you download the toolkit. It's very, very powerful. It's exactly the kind of tools that are going to help you along, okay? And remember, people don't do what they say. They don't do what we think they're going to do. They don't do what they think they're going to do. They do what they do, all right? And so the fact that we have SurveyMonkey is helpful, but it's nowhere near enough, right? This really comes to deep human understanding if we're going to come up with anything relevant, all right? So, I'm gonna stick with the rest for now. If you either know design thinking tools or you don't, so I'm not gonna bother with a few seconds to try to teach you. But let me make a couple of examples, share you a couple of examples, right? Your prototype can be as simple as a hand sketch on a piece of paper, okay? If you want to take it to a slightly different level, you can create a website or a mobile app, look-alike, in a digital prototyping tool, which I think would be very, very valuable, but I would really strongly recommend that you do that, okay? And when you tell the story, that prototype should be at the focal point at the center of the story, okay? So let me leave you with this. We are at a point today where we've got until roughly 6 o'clock. I want to thank my former student, Yokai Paz. Yokai is now running pricing for Western Digital. And he was an MBA student of mine 3 or 4 years ago and took my Disruptive Business Innovation course and has been with me ever since. He's been nice enough to bring his wife Shirley, who does marketing for Google for SME. Right? This is what I love about people that are hackathon junkies and innovation junkies. They'll come in on a Saturday, and I'm not paying them anything, right? They're coming in on a Saturday because they love innovation and they love the opportunity to mentor younger students. So thank you both for coming. Other students of mine will be coming in later today to mentor as well, but they won't be here for the full day, of course. So we're going to allow you guys to go find your breakout rooms, and we're going to be coming around and mentoring you. But there's a real fine line between over-mentoring and mentoring just enough, okay? So I think it's important that you guys take at least 30 minutes together to get to know one another, to talk about what's important to you, to talk about what problem you want to solve this weekend, and to start to get that foundation laid, and then we can kind of help guide you and help you get through the day, right? We're here to help you today. That's the only reason that I'm here, is to help you guys have a great hackathon experience. I want to recognize Jonathan and Mady for their leadership in making this happen. Thank you guys. Great job. Right? And let's have a great hackathon, okay? Have a great day, guys. We'll be around.
Woo! This last point, guys. So technically it's until 6, but feel free to stay a bit till later, till 11 though. That's when they pick
That's when the security kicks you out.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. And if they're sleeping, it might be midnight, right?
Yeah, there's one more thing that I want to show you guys for just like a real quick research tool that Kailash is going to show.
Cool. This is the Read Write Labs tool?
Yeah.
Cool.
Just so to help you guys with your research.
Alright, so just if you have, okay, so you can go to readwritelabs.com, readwritelabs.